In order to solve this crisis, we have to go together quickly. And in order to deliver the message to enough people in powerful ways that engender a response that causes individuals to want to be a part of the solution, again, we need your help. Next week, at a press conference in New York City, I will unveil a 7-point pledge that we will ask every person attending the concerts around the world on 7707 to sign up to. The pledge will involve personal actions to help solve the climate crisis and actions by individuals in their capacity as citizens and as consumers. This entire campaign must be based on the scientific truth about the challenge that we are facing. I would urge all of you to advise your clients that companies that still are part of an effort to intentionally confuse people about what the truth of the climate crisis is are running a severe risk of serious damage to their brands. There was a great American writer named M. Scott Peck who wrote a book called The Road Less Traveled, and he had an interesting and idiosyncratic definition of evil. Evil, according to Dr. Peck, is absence of truth. I believe that truth has a force of its own. It's dangerous for any of us to believe that we are alone in possession of the truth, but I believe that as human beings we have a capacity in living into the reality of our lives to feel what is true. Mahatma Gandhi, who famously said, "You must become the change you wish to see in the world," said the most powerful force in the world is what he called satyagraha, which roughly translates, I'm told, into English as truth force. The truth about the climate crisis and the unbelievable and unprecedented danger we face will have a growing force in the business world, in the advertising world, and in all of our lives. I would wager a great deal that the majority of you here who have families have heard from your children already. Some of you have spoken yourselves to your children. This is comparable, though, in some ways, to an experience I had as a young person in the United States watching the persecution of African Americans and the emergence of the civil rights movement. And young people saw the abuse and violence against African Americans by people like the notorious Bull Connor in the state of Alabama. And they asked their elders to please explain why they tolerated such immorality and such evil. And when their parents and their elders could not give a satisfactory answer, that is when the laws changed. That is a form of truth force. And all over this planet, young people are asking their parents to please explain why it is not completely immoral and unethical to continue a process of destroying the integrity of this planet's climate. They want to believe that there is truth in their world, that there is integrity in the marketplace and in the communities and in the web of their lives. And those companies and those messengers who become a part of delivering that compelling truth in ways that demonstrate and distribute the new, more efficient ways of improving our lives that do, in fact, help to solve the climate crisis, will benefit in every possible way. But the communication of it is actually, I believe, the key. In the past, the model of representative democracy has been for the facts that are sometimes complicated and difficult to be given to elected representatives who have the time and luxury to study them and reflect upon them, discuss among themselves the options for solving the problems, and then make the decisions, even if they are difficult, and try to explain to their constituents. But in this new communications environment, where advertising is part and parcel of all of this process, and elected representatives and other leaders are constantly testing the messaging environment, the messaging itself has to be a part of the solution. I deeply believe that a few decades from now, people will look back at the beginning of this 21st century, our children and theirs, not too many decades from now, and they will ask one of two questions. Either they will ask, what in God's name were they thinking? Didn't they hear the nearly unanimous scientific community around the world? Were they so easily deluded and confused by the few self-interested special pleaders who said that the poison was actually not poisonous? Were they so easily distracted? Were they too greedy? Were they too self-absorbed? Why didn't they care? Or they will ask a second question, the one I hope that they will ask. And looking back, I want them to ask, how did they find the uncommon moral courage to rise and successfully solve a crisis that so many said was impossible to solve? And when they ask that question, I want them to think of many heroes and heroines from all walks of life who were part of unlocking what America's greatest president, Abraham Lincoln, once called the better angels of our nature. We have the capacity for greed and short-sightedness. All of us do. But we all also have the capacity to rise to our higher potentials. And when we do, it is because help comes from unexpected quarters. It is because that truth force brings people from business, from industry, from every walk of life to say, yes, we want to be a part of this great movement and this solution. And I want them to also say that the advertising industry, one that in the past has sometimes been pointed to as crass and exploitive and as focused on means over ends over means, as much as the worst industry, actually has men and women who care so deeply that they are willing to use their skills and talents and experiences to help lead the way. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish I could say this in a way that would communicate to you not only the thoughts and the words, but the feelings that I would like to transfer from my heart to yours. You can make the crucial difference. You can. As I've said in the past, we have everything we need to solve this crisis, with the possible exception of political will. But in each of our hearts and in our world, political will is a renewable resource. Thank you very much for having me here.